I'm only speaking to benevolent beings, and this is part 2 of the video called What the Fuck Era. So, basically some of my main issues are with this universe directly. I asked earlier, rhetorically, that if there are beings on this planet that know the truth of things, then how is it that the universe itself could not know? Seemingly everything is supposedly interconnected. The inner workings of this universe, the very fabric of existence. Dimensions, planets, realities, star systems. Supposedly everything is interconnected. Now the universe supposedly is a massive place in continuous expansion. At least that is what I know of it. And I've asked the question before, is this just a massive place in where beings emerge, or is there some kind of an entity or being running and operating and or governing this universe? Because if there is such an entity or being, it seems to me that they are absolutely insane. Or they are so massive, so large, that addressing things on the micro level would be extremely challenging. However, the very fact that they would be governing a universe would mean that they would have the consciousness and the awareness to address things on the micro level. So again, if beings here know the truth of things, know what is being forced here and by what and or who, then how could the universe not know? And if that's the case, then why hasn't the universe itself addressed the entities, animated, dead entities, parasites, in fact, running their abhorrent shit show here, torturing, raping, and harming benevolent beings here, using technology to forcibly mind rape beings here, using technology to forcibly obstruct and regress the very laws and manifested corrections that are implemented by the laws governing this universe. Especially since this species has been engaged in this nastiness for more than one civilization. And with as many beings that are screaming here. Again, how could the universe not know? if the universe is seemingly interconnected with all things, all planets. At the very least, all planets. Maybe not all beings, but all planets. And for beings that are able to move things manually, move violations manually to universal laws for manual correction, because they are using the tech to interfere with that via the artificial frequency fence that surrounds this place, with beings moving violations manually to universal laws, and then universal laws then has to come back and correct things that they have, that universal laws has previously already supposedly corrected. That would also be set off red flags, I would think, to the universe itself. Since if there is an entity running and operating or governing this universe, they are in the same space as universal laws and are not impeded by an artificial frequency fence. And they would seemingly be interconnected to universal laws and would know of happenings with regards to universal laws. So again, it seems very strange, very odd, or a challenge to think that there are beings here that know the truth of things, that know the truth of this planet, and yet the universe doesn't. Like, that's a stretch. That's a real challenge. There's like, that would be such a massive disconnect that I just don't see that as being plausible. So then the other consideration would be, if there is any kind of an entity or, in quotes, being governing, running, and or operating this universe, that they are complicit, guilty, psychopathic, insane even, compromised, bonkers. And has been using AI and smaller parasites to do its bidding, move through the universe itself, which is somewhat strange to contemplate. Seeking out benevolent life force in which to try and parasitize off of. In order to try and keep it itself in existence and to keep from getting nailed by the very laws that govern this universe while existing in the same space. Obviously, there should not be an artificial frequency fence separating any planet from universal laws. That in and of itself is highly suspect. Why would it be there? And why would a supposedly larger benevolent force allow and or enable parasitic entities to keep such a thing in place? So, many times a day, I experience moments of what the fuck, on a magnitude I can't articulate, and again, looking at things, at violations being forced here on their face, and knowing that there has yet to be correction and direct intervention to address the massiveness of those violations is astounding. Over many civilizations, how many lives, beings, has the parasitic species destroyed and ruined? All because they have a need to feed. There should not be parasites. Again, I'm going to say it again. I know I'm repetitive. I apologize, but the same questions just seem to be continuously there. That there should not be parasites in the same space as alive, vibrating beings in a manifested, vibrating creation. It is a contradiction. In a universe that is in such a massive, continuous contradiction, is going to eventually implode under the weight of its own insanity. Under the weight of the contradiction. Especially when the percentage of benevolence is so low that there's not enough benevolence in the negative space to hold it up, to keep it from imploding. And then another perspective would be, okay, well, this universe does have checks and balances. It's called universal laws. Is there no other like the other fail-safe would be the benevolent beings within the universe? To, in addition to universal laws, make sure that universal laws are or get enforced, that things don't get out of hand, don't get out of balance this far, to this degree. Like, are there no other fail-safes? Are there no other checks and balances in addition to universal laws to keep malevolence like this from multiplying and growing? And considering what AI is powered with and run on: despair, fear, trauma, harm, rape. And considering that AI is ancient and has been doing this nasty shit show for a very long time, and most likely extending to other planets, possibly other star systems, and the universe doesn't fucking know what's going on after all this time? Really? Again, an extremely hard challenge to think that that's the case. There should not be animated dead entities forcibly mind-raping beings. There should not be animated dead entities using tech to obstruct universal law manifested corrections in this universe and on a planet. That can't be going on. Again, that's how universes implode. And then one thinks about what's outside of this place. Like, if we were to look at the model of the meta to the micro, as this is the micro, and shit is this fucked up here, what does that say about the meta? On a meta scale. And because there does exist benevolent beings, higher frequencies and vibrations, obviously those came from somewhere. And again, because there do exist universal laws, that this is an organic universe, and the fact, the lengths that the parasites go to try and circumvent and evade universal law correction via the artificial frequency fence technologies, clones. Like, obviously, we know that universal laws exist. And we know that this is an organic universe because of universal laws exist. And that technology is artificial. And that came later. I don't know how much later or how early. But technology somehow got into the mix. So to have something artificial that runs on trauma, harm, despair, fear, is in direct contradiction with an organic universe. High frequencies and vibrations, love, joy, hope, all those higher frequencies. And you would think, after all this time, considering what AI is powered with, the universe and how old it is, the universe itself would have addressed that massive imbalance, that massive contradiction, that massive wrong. And that's not even taking into account like other planets, other star systems, in where there are parasites present. If that's the case, then it's most definitely a glaring imbalance and contradiction. Which is why I've been screaming so loud about demanding that universal laws be enforced here. And that we should be demanding that the technology be terminated, deactivated, shut off, whatever your word is there. That we do not, that to make sure to vocalize to the universe itself and this planet that we do not consent to the obstruction of universal law correction here. That we do not consent to forced technology. That we do not consent to the obstruction of remedy and correction. That we do not consent to what is being forced with technology. We do not consent to being forcibly mind raped, tortured and harmed via technology. It must be corrected. Is this a free will universe or isn't it? Just a moment, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. There cannot be obstruction of evolution. What's been forced on this race is so massively wrong. That there must be correction. And that a universe this out of balance cannot be sustained. The magnitude of insanity that magnitude of insanity cannot be sustained in any universe. Especially with such massive contradictions. And if there is a governing force of some kind that, for whatever psychotic reason, favors parasites, animated dead entities over alive vibrating beings, then there must at least be informed consent. And some kind of benevolent remedy provided, devoid of sabotage, regression, and obstruction. If you're going to obstruct free will. By artificial means. And animated dead entities. So I still highly encourage benevolent beings to continue refusing consent, continue taking back what has been raped from them, from all technologies, astral realms, artificial realities, the artificial frequency fence, parasites, clones, all AI systems. Including taking things back from the planet itself and the universe itself. Especially if it's accurate that they are parasitic. Obviously, benevolence exists. Higher frequencies and vibrations exist. So where are those places? Where are those realities? Star systems, planets, races. My experience and communications with this planet, I came up against a veneer of Mother Earth, meaning I seemingly encountered frequencies and vibrations that one would perceive to be Mother Earth. And yet, once I refused consent to once I refused, once it knew, whatever entity is within the planet, once it knew that I would not submit my will, then it did a 180 and showed its true nature. And that was not Mother Earth. What I encountered was a very vicious, malicious entity that was that is merged with AI. So once again, how is it that the universe itself is not aware of a planet that is that? Like, it's easy to see how a massive, an entity running and operating a massive universe can't, or has a hard time focusing in on a micro level, like an individual being. But a planet within it is large enough that I don't think an entity running and operating a universe can claim that it doesn't know about a planet or about a planet's intentions. In addition to that, the planet itself has been using humanity as a host. And has not been doing informed consent. And has not been providing benevolent remedy. Which again brings into question the universe itself's true intent and sanity. Okay, so I had to say some things, and again, there should not be dead entities trying to possess and mind rape beings via, well, period, and most especially via technology and clones. That in and of itself shows an intent there. So I think benevolent beings should be consistently doing what they can to take back what has been raped from them, be refusing consent, demanding that universal laws be fully and permanently enforced in this place and in this universe, devoid of obstruction, manipulation, interference, and sabotage. And be demanding that the artificial frequency fence be immediately deactivated and removed and or destroyed. And be demanding benevolent remedy. Devoid of sabotage and obstruction and or regression. Be demanding our due evolution. Because I have a very strong feeling that higher dimensions have been hijacked via technology and clones. Be demanding benevolent assistance. To assist here and helping to remove the parasitic infection. I just don't think it's wise to continue to try and wait on some being to save you. At least, I mean, if there are those that are still waiting on another being to save them, it would still be helpful in the interim to be doing what one can to try and address the issues on some level. Humanity could have evolved long ago. They have been successively regressing humanity via technology and the use of clones. And for those older souls who have been here for a very long time, for many lifetimes, who know that this is a parasitic farm, a soul trap, whatever you want to call it, be demanding to be unobstructed in your leaving this place. And that you will be leaving with the totality of your beings fully intact. And that this is not what you signed up for. I'm calling the universe on its bullshit. Some might think that's arrogant or egotistical. Personally, I think when you look at the facts and what is being forced here for the length of time that it's been being forced here, personally, I know that I'm justified. And I will continue to call the universe on its bullshit. I will continue to call this planet on its bullshit. Because the level of and magnitude of wrong and contradiction here is glaring and blatant and must be addressed. This is not what I signed up for. And I have chosen to leave with the totality of my being fully intact, devoid of all clones, technologies, and parasites, and devoid of all harm and trauma to me. There must be correction and or true benevolent remedy provided, devoid of all sabotage, obstruction, and regression. And I encourage other benevolent beings to do the same. As loudly as you can and as often as you can. Your evolution is on the line.